with Bitwire Media that produces a variety of shows, including the WordCast Network.
That sounds great. Talk about that.
Yeah, we've just relaunched that. It was totally focused on WordPress news, WordPress tips and information, and now we've relaunched it as a full network, and we've added Jonathan Bailey and forgive me, I've forgotten his partner's name. They do Copyright 2.0, a phenomenal podcast.
I was just going to ask you about copywriting issues relative to the web. I'm glad you're bringing it up.
And Jonathan Bailey is the mastermind behind. He's one of my dearest friends in the world, and he is the guru when it comes to grassroots understanding of copyright trademark issues when it comes to online publishing. He's a poet and a writer, and he's not a lawyer, but he knows more than most lawyers about copyright. He's incredible. He's been doing this now for 4 years or more, and his podcast, Copyright 2.0, is now on the WordCast Network at wordcastnet.com.
That'd be a very important show to listen to.
It's fabulous, and he also publishes at plagiarismtoday.com, and he writes for all kinds of things. He travels all over the world giving presentations and training programs and things dealing with this issue, and he works with lawyers as a consultant and people who have copyright issues. Jonathan is amazing, and he and I have done great campaigns together long before we were officially working together, just as friends, which is the fun part of doing all this. He's in Louisiana, I'm wherever I am, traveling all over the world, and we did, the first big campaign we did together was called Ask First, I Might Say Yes.
I like that.
It's brilliant because everybody thinks that if it's on the internet, it needs to be free, and he and I worked so hard, created massive campaign to teach people that just because it's on the net does not mean it's free. So ask first. I might say yes. To teach people that, yes, there is an element of theft, I was one of the first ones that put out the concept of content theft, that you can steal content, and taking something that doesn't belong to you, that you didn't make it, you didn't create it, you're just taking it and using it for free is not right.
I'm so glad you're talking about this.
And it's very important that all you have to do is ask. Odds are they'll say, yeah, you can use my content. Or they'll say no, but at least you'll have an answer. Check out their copyright page, find out what their policy is, and then ask.
By the way, you have a marvelous site policy, which we have referenced and utilized the portion of it because you've really thought it through. Everybody should see Lorelle's site policy and go to her site. Please articulate your site name.
It's the main site that most people know me for now is Lorelle on WordPress, which is lorelle.wordpress.com, LORELLE.wordpress.com. And I have a policy page, and it deals with copyright and all kinds of different comments and all kinds of different things. And it is set up as a template, and I've written many articles along with Jonathan or by myself on the issues of protecting your content because I think it's really important. It's yours. If you make a car, you take a car, you rebuild it totally, you clean it, you polish it, you make it beautiful, you spend hours and hours, if not years, finding that headlight, finding that little, hood ornament and stuff, and then somebody steals your car? Are you going to go, oh, well, I made it for somebody to take it anyway? That's not what we do. That's not what we pay insurance for.
Absolutely.
Some people, I have articles that in fact, the one that I wrote about copyright, the biggest one, which is what to do when someone steals your content, that I sat on that for a year. I researched it for a year. I sat on it for a year, and finally I went, oh, screw it, I'm just going to put it out there. I know it's scary. I know it's an issue that people don't want to deal with, and they all think it's all free. I agonized. I was sick to my stomach. And I just said, I have to publish this. And it's one of my most popular articles. And it's considered like the touchstone of how to go about dealing with content theft, and it started the conversation. But that was 2 years in the making. Some people spend less time rebuilding a car. So when people go and just take it, that's just not nice. It's just not fair, So it's just rude. Anyway, so I could go on and on about copyright, but with WordCast Network, the WordCast Network, we have WordCast Conversations, which is doing in-depth interviews, talking with people about WordPress and the blogging industry and social media. With Kim Huynh, which is and Dave Moyer and I, we kind of change hosts once in a while. It's a great in-depth thing. We just did a wonderful program with 4 top bloggers in the world talking about, major content producers talking about blog productivity. How do you be efficient about the process of blogging and gathering content and keeping up with the news and things? It was really fascinating on blog productivity. We do a weekly recap on what's going on in WordPress news and blogging news. And we have talk about WordCamps, which I love, which are grassroots regional and local events where people set up it's usually once a year. They have an annual big conference to talk about all things WordPress and blogging, and I love those. And I travel all over the world speaking, keynoting at these events, and helping them to get started behind the scenes. I love WordCamps.
To go to WordCamps, do you have to know HTML, or do you have to have known and been inside of WordPress for a while?
No. Oh, no. No. It's designed to serve a variety of levels, and only recently have they started serving what we call like the higher echelon of techie, geeky things. It's mostly designed from beginners to intermediate users. So people who have never had a blog go there, which we love because their brains explode. And then people who show up, who've had one for a couple years, their brains explode because they realize that there's so much more that's out there that can be done, as well as, I've been doing this wrong, I need to do less, I need to, they have great presentations, and it's all grassroots. It's all people who use it. They're not, so most of them are not celebrity, like me, I speak for, conferences all over the world all the time. I'm a professional public speaker. But these are people who get up there and they never spoke in front of an audience, and suddenly they're standing instead of 400 people, and they're sharing how they use WordPress. Or there'll be 30 people. It can be any size. It doesn't matter. It's just usually a once-a-year event. And then there are WordPress meetups, which are on a more regular basis, where they're once a month. Some people try to do once a week. I said, that's killer. Or once a quarter, more regular. Those are the WordPress meetups. And that's where people work one-on-one in smaller groups to get together. Though the WordPress meetup in Dallas, Texas, I think has 75 or 150 members. They're rocking.
Do you think most people know why they're doing a blog, or are they jumping in, trialing something new, and seeing what sticks, or all of it?
It's all those reasons. The most common reason that somebody starts a blog is because they think they should. And that should comes from, it's in business 101, you must have a blog because I have to create my own, online identity and social networking, rock. And other people, it's very similar. It's peer pressure. Well, everyone else has one. I have to have one.
It's the way people have been with websites. If you don't have a website, you're not credible, you're not real. And now if you don't have a blog, it's kind of like that domain of thinking. Yeah,
that's how it's been with everything. If you don't have an office space, or if you don't have a computer in your home, well, then you got to get a computer. Well, if you don't have an LED TV, then you got to get it. Your neighbor has one. That's the Joneses. It's been around for a long time. What is interesting, though, is that I'm starting to get people are now understanding what a blog is. They're still having trouble differentiating between a website and a blog. And for a second, I'm just going to answer that because I have a pat answer. A website is a static site that sits on a server, and people can visit from anywhere. A blog is an interactive site that, sorry, I got phone problems here. Hang on a second. Make sure we get a little edit in there. Okay, sorry. All right. So a website is a static site, like a billboard on the internet, and a blog is an interactive communication device, except that a blog is a website, and a website can be a blog. They're interchangeable words. What has